someone I met 2 years ago as a coachee, and has become a great friend. So Miles is a physical trainer. He can claim to fame to have lost 100 pounds in his life. And you can go online and look to the before and after picture. And it amazed me when I saw his picture. He was a physical trainer, but he was quite overweight. And today he looks like one of these models, for physical exercise. So Miles is going to talk to us about the 4 doctors. So please go ahead, Miles. You need to unmute yourself. Here you go, buddy.
I got it. Thank you for the introduction, Stefan. I'm really happy to be here today with all of you. I'm the movement guy talking about physical fitness. I'm sure you guys have had some great stuff so far about nutrition, well-being, spirituality, psychology. I'm going to share my screen here. Just give me one moment to open this up. All right, let me go to screen share, advanced. Thank you for your patience. Okay, basic. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. So a paradigm of health that I adopted a long time ago is a concept called the 4 doctors. And for me, this fully embodies and represents what well-being is really about. We live in a very kind of materialistic Newtonian world where we think so much about our bodies, the physical self, as well as our food. And I'm going to be talking primarily about the body, but you can't have a conversation about the body without discussing the mind and the spirit, because we're one interconnected system of systems. So the concept of the 4 doctors is that we have these 4 different pillars and dimensions of well-being. Dr. Diet, what we put in our body, what we eat. Dr. Quiet, time for introspection and reflection. Dr. Movement, which is what I'm primarily going to be talking about in this segment, moving our bodies. And Dr. Happiness, our level of fulfillment, how we're growing and contributing to the world. And it wasn't until I realized this body, mind, spirit complex that I was able to connect to myself and embody myself on a deeper and more profound level of health and well-being. There were a lot of missing links in my equation. And I was very fortunate to cross paths with Stefan about 2 years ago or so, where he became my coach. And Stefan has been coaching me for 2 years privately. And he's helped me tap into the parts that have to do with quiet, happiness, psychology, and introspection that have taken my own well-being to another level. On the note of my well-being, this is what Stefan was referring to here. All right, so I used to weigh 120 pounds more than I do so today. This photo on the left-hand side was from 11 years ago. I was using food as a way to mitigate stress. It was my way to numb myself out from reality. And food plus time equals putting on a lot of weight. And that's what happened with me. But I always say you have to sometimes lose yourself to find yourself. And that's ultimately what happened. I went on my own true embodiment journey to understand at the deepest and most profound level what it is to connect to your physical self, to connect to self-love, to connect to authenticity and vulnerability. And I wouldn't go back in time and change anything. This journey was not only important, it was necessary. And I wouldn't be the trainer I am today had I not gone down the scenic route, losing myself to find myself. So Dr. Diet, real brief, I'm going to just go over the 3 doctors and jump into the movement. So you are what you eat. What you put in your body becomes you. We think of food as something that we just eat for energy or to pass the time or when we're bored, but it fundamentally fuels us, and it really fuels us moving towards our dream. Your body is the vehicle of your essence, and if you take care of yourself with what you put in your body, you're going to bring you to showing up to be able to fulfill your mission and your dream. And the reality is diets don't work. I know I've done 101 diets myself. When you're playing in the realm of restriction and non-sustainability, it's a losing battle, and you ultimately set yourself up to lose. Diet, we've all heard though that this is something we need to pay attention to and be aware of and cognizant of. And I'm sure you guys had some tips today about nutrition and what to do, but it's something really to understand. You are what you eat. All your cells break down and regenerate. What is the building blocks for your cells? It's what you put in your body. Dr. Quiet, I'm sure Bashkar sent you guys a couple of messages about Dr. Quiet. This is, in my opinion, the most underrated and underutilized component of wellness out there. We're living in a sympathetic nervous system dominant culture and society. We're always in fight or flight mode, trying to put a roof over our head, pay the bills, take care of ourselves, deal with the stressors of life. And we don't find that time to cultivate ourselves and nurture ourselves and activate our parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is your body's way to regenerate, heal, and rest. If we're always in fight or flight mode, we're always in catabolism, we're always in breakdown mode, and we're not creating the space within ourselves to heal ourselves. We don't have to tell our body what to do. Our body knows what to do. It has innate wisdom. If you have a cut on your hand, you don't have to tell the cut to heal. The body has that innate wisdom. When we create space for the body, it activates its own innate wisdom. And Dr. Quiet, introspection, whether that's through meditation, yoga, qigong, anything that brings you to center and presence will activate that within you and also be a gateway for you getting to know yourself, such an integral part of health and well-being. And Dr. Happiness, we've all heard follow your bliss, follow your passion, and the name of the game is happiness. But I think sometimes we don't really pay attention to this as part of health. We think of it as something that we do to feel good and to feel like we're accomplishing something, but happiness is so much deeper and more profound than that. It really is about fulfillment. It's not about a moment of joy per se. It's about a state of being. It's a state of gratitude. And what I found in my life and what Stefan really helped me tap into was my passion, really identifying what my passion is. And the word gets thrown around quite a lot, passion. What's my passion? Sometimes people mistake it for a hobby. But what I've learned for me, which is true, is that passion equals enthusiasm. And the cool thing about the word enthusiasm, if you look up the roots, I don't know if it's Greek or Latin, I think it breaks down to in theos, which I think means in spirit. And for me, in spirit really embodies and represents being in the present moment, being your authentic self, being your vulnerable self, being connected to self. And when you're aligned with self, real magic happens. Doors open, people appear. I call this through me consciousness. And Stefan has referenced that before in his quotes and in his work as well. Life can be this amazing thing when you connect to yourself and you connect to your heart. And when you find yourself in that place, then you enter into that growth mode where you're expanding physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, and becoming this embodied version of yourself, embracing yourself as a human being. And ultimately, when we fill ourselves up, it leads to inevitable contribution, right? We always feel the need to give beyond ourselves to others. And we really feel a beautiful, energetic connection when we give to others. Why? Giving to others is giving to ourselves. We're all the same entity. We're all the same being. We're all one organism called humanity. When we give to others, we give to ourselves, and that is the definition also of self-love. So these things, Dr. Diet, Dr. Quiet, Dr. Happiness, they're part of the model of health. And I could not talk about fitness without talking about this, because you take you wherever you go. The body is the vehicle for the soul. The body and what you put into it helps you get to your mission, vision, values, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of this so far today, but I wanted to bring it up nevertheless, and then jump into my deepest field of expertise, which is the movement as the personal trainer and fitness expert. So the fourth doctor, Dr. Movement. So movement, we've all heard that we should exercise, and we've all heard 101 reasons, but I wanted to highlight and outline some of the most important elements and aspects of movement. You know, we've heard, I believe as the Greeks said, movement is medicine. And even Aristotle, I think, had his disciples train with the wrestling team to train their mind. The body and the mind is connected. And the body doesn't have 200 plus bones and 600 plus muscles for nothing. This is an entity that's designed to move. We're not designed to sit in a chair. Being seated might be a part of our culture, but being seated is robbing our body of the beauty and grace that's inherently there. And we see this beauty and grace with the highest level Olympic athletes and dancers. We see what the body can do. Now, we don't have to take it to that level and to that degree, but sitting in a chair is doing a disservice to this physical structure that can take you to where all your hopes and dreams are. When you move your body and you work out, it's really an activity that grounds you. You know, people talk about meditation being an activity to ground you in your body, and this, you know, seminar is about embodiment. movement and breathing and focusing on sets and reps and exercises brings you into your body. It connects you to self. And exercise has always been the way that I have connected to self, especially. I do meditations here and there, but it never fully resonated with me as a daily ritual and practice. Training, however, became my tool. And a lot of people that aren't exercising don't realize how powerful a tool it can be to ground themselves in their body and get connected to themselves and really embody themselves. Movement is also, from another angle and perspective, an act of self-love. You know, we're so hard on ourselves. We have expectations and we set the bar so high and we shoot for the stars and we fall down and we trip up and, you know, we beat ourselves up. But that's part of life. That's part of the game. But at the end of the day, when you show up to work out, you're cultivating and building the muscle of self-love. You're cultivating and building a deeper connection to self, which translates and flows over into every area and aspect of your life, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. When clients show up at our studio, they're typically showing up to change their body, to change how they look aesthetically in the mirror, maybe look good naked, whatever they want. But what I know is when people are showing up, they're really raising their hand and saying, hey, I love myself. I'm showing up to do a workout because I care about myself. I care about my body temple. And I'm here to cultivate that. They might not say it consciously, but I pick up on that unconsciously. And I really believe that's one of the main reasons that people show up to work out. It's to get a connection to self, embody themselves, and cultivate that self-love. Like I alluded to earlier, you know, your health is your wealth and your body is your vehicle of life. Without your body, you can't go anywhere, okay, to fulfill your mission and your vision. So cultivating a healthy sense of self gives you the strength, resilience, and energy to be able to pursue your vision, mission, and values at the highest level. This is another perspective and vantage point of movement. When you really go deep on movement, the way I'm kind of discussing it here, you realize it's very spiritual. Everything is very spiritual. Everything is very holistic. Everything is very interconnected. The body, when you move, your emotions are connected to movement. Your mind is connected to movement. Everything is interrelated like that. And it's so cool because some people have said, hey, I've tried meditation and it hasn't really worked for me as a tool to ground myself. Some people need to ground themselves in a tool that uses movement, that uses motion. You have to find the modality that works for you. But for so many people, they can find that in exercise, but they don't know they can find it until they start a regular exercise routine and really see those benefits from a multidimensional level. And, you know, the other thing I talked about earlier is the idea of the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system and dealing with stress in our fight or flight culture and reality. Well, they've shown in the research that exercise is one of the greatest ways to release stress. It grounds you, it allows you to exert yang energy and release tension within your body. It's a very powerful way to get stress out of your system. And when you move stress out of your system, you create space to invite in rest, repair, and regeneration. What a lot of people don't realize, when you work out, you actually break your body down. For a moment in time, you create inflammation. You actually go down in your immune system strength, right? A lot of people say, oh, after my workout, I feel energized. That usually comes from the fact that you just moved and you were sedentary. So you got your lymphatic system stimulated, you got your circulatory and respiratory systems activated. But after a good workout, you actually decrease your capacity. But it's in the days that come where you increase your resilience and capacity, get bigger, stronger, faster, more powerful, whatnot. And that helps you build up resilience to take on the stress of life. And what I've learned in my own life, training myself and training clients, the stronger your body is, the stronger your mind is. The more endurance you have in your body, the more endurance you have in your mind. And life, guys, what I've found for myself, and I know this is going to resonate with you and ring true, life is a marathon of dealing with stress. Just when you think you've gotten over one hill, something else appears. There was someone who once said, we're either in a crisis, going out of a crisis, or going into a crisis. All right. And I believe that is the innate and beautiful design of life, to force us out of our comfort zone. Bashkar and I have talked about that many times, the comfort zone, and how the comfort zone is this seemingly comfortable place, but ultimately shackles us from our own physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic growth. But the good news about life, unlike me, who's a physical trainer, life comes in as the spiritual trainer and pushes you out of your comfort zone, pushes you out of the nest where you have to either learn to fly or die. And what I've seen in my life is human beings tend to fly when under stress in most instances, if they're open to being resilient and overcoming those struggles. So movement builds up that strength and resilience to take on life. It gives you more energy, better sleep. You have more energy. That's more energy with your family, with your kids. That's more energy to do your mission. It's more energy to get stuff done. A lot of people work 9 to 5 and want to work on their dream from 5 to 9, but they're exhausted and tanked. Working out will build up that capacity to have that energy to work on your hopes and dreams. Better sleep equals a better balanced body, again, equals more energy. It's all interconnected. And self-esteem, so many of us are walking around with low self-esteem. I know I was really there when I weighed 120 pounds more. And to this day, I'm fighting my own fights with self-esteem and self-love and perception of self. It's a never-ending battle. We never get to a destination per se, but weight training and movement, yoga, etc., really helps you connect to yourself and cultivate that self-love. So this is a multi-dimensional view. And I knew you guys were showing up for a multi-dimensional perspective on movement, not just what you hear on your average blog and average talk show. There really is these dimensions of movement that people need to see. In terms of what you do, I'm a big proponent of doing what you love. Why? When you do what you love, you're going to do it. So many people try and put a glove on their hand that doesn't fit. And ultimately, when you try and fit a glove to a hand where it doesn't work and you don't have that symbiosis and compatibility, you're ultimately setting yourself up for failure. The secret is to set yourself up to win. It's not about the perfect plan. If you try and go for the perfect plan, you say, I'm going to work out this 5 times per week, and I'm going to do this perfect workout, and I'm going to get a trainer, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. That is called paralysis by analysis. And by trying to do everything, you fundamentally do nothing. You have to start with something that you love and that resonates with you. So if it's weight training and resistance training, go for that. If it's cardiovascular training, going for a walk, for a run, using the bike in your basement that's become an expensive clothes hanger, use that. If it's doing yoga and you follow along to YouTube videos, or you follow along with the great Bashkar, who is a yogi master, who's my brother from another mother and soul brother, you can do that as well. Tai Chi, dance, anything that embodies movement is totally fine. There is no right or wrong way to move. Some people, especially with injuries, are scared to move. They don't want to hurt themselves. Is it true that you might hurt yourself? Sure. But let me tell you something. If you don't move your body and you have pain, that is going to end up being more painful than not moving. Everybody can do something. All of you guys are getting in and out of your bed, in and out of your car, in and out of your chairs, etc. If you can live life, you can move in some capacity. There really is no excuse on that level, but you've got to find and resonate with something that you really, really love and that works for you. That's really where you want to start. In terms of when to move specifically, I always like to try and recommend to people to move first thing in the morning. Why? Before the chaos of the day. I'm sure you guys have noticed that once the day gets started with getting the kids to school and preparing lunches and answering emails and messages and getting in your car and driving around, we get lost in this autopilot pattern. And very often the things that we know we should do, we don't do because we get trapped in this autopilot pattern. For me, the morning period is the most powerful time to cultivate any new habit, anything you guys want to do, whether it's meditation, whether it's training, but especially with movement. Some of you here present today and listening to this might not be in a routine. Some of you might be in a routine. I don't know where you are on your journey, but we always can do a little bit more and cultivate ourselves a little bit more deeply. And for a lot of people right now, most people are not moving. I have a personal training studio and we do everything at our studio. We've had to shift gears with what's going on, and we're now doing personal training and group training online. And we have thousands of people now training with us in the comfort of their own home, people from 8 to 80 years old. And people who haven't moved in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And what this shows is it doesn't matter where you're starting. you can get started. Even if you're 80 years old with a bad knee, you can get started. And the best time to be able to do that is first thing in the morning. Now, given the circumstances now, scheduling and time has changed a little bit. But having said that, I'm still a big proponent of getting it done first thing in the morning. But if you find there's a zone, another time of the day that can work for you, that resonates with you, that will ultimately be the best time for you to get the habit started, for example, in the evening or late at night, go with the flow. You do you, be your authentic self, go with what works. But in my experience, having coached thousands of people for over a decade, it really boils down to doing it in the morning. And it doesn't have to be long. You can start with 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be this big extravagant thing. If you're going from nothing, just getting started, to getting the wheels turning and getting the car in motion. Right now, we're all locked down in our homes, and there are pros and cons to that. And a lot of people think, oh, I can't work out at home. It's not a gym. I don't have machines. I don't have this. I don't have that. We've been doing workouts online with clients with just body weight stuff. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands of exercises that you can do with your own body weight as a physical being under the force of gravity. Everybody can do something. And like I said, it doesn't matter where you're starting. You can get started, and get started now at home. And I encourage all of you, if you're listening to this, to be able to get started and really do something now and not wait. The present moment is where it's at. Carpe diem, seize the day, get started. Don't wait 2-3 weeks. Don't overthink things. Just start with something. If you're going for a walk, you can do that. If you're just going up and down the stairs in your house, you can do that. But the point is, commit to yourself, honor your body, and do something to really respect those parts and components of yourself. Now, I talked a little bit about this already, but every habit that we want to form fundamentally boils down to the how. The biggest question, like, how do we do anything, right? Because all of us have amazing dreams, amazing intentions, amazing goals. Maybe some of you guys present here today or listening have a vision board. You have intentions for your life, but somehow between what you want and where you are in your reality, things collapse and fade. So the question becomes, how do we really build a routine? And in this case, for my talk, it's really, how do we get into a fitness routine? But the way we get into a fitness routine is how we get into any routine, which is the cool thing. So this can be applied to everything. So the first thing is to do one thing. The human mind wants to do everything, right? And when we want to do everything, this is what I call paralysis by analysis. You try and do everything, you get nothing. The human mind goes 1, 2, 3, many, chaos. So we think that we can take on 101 things, and some people are more special than others. Stefan, for example, he is the ultimate multitasker, and he gets stuff done, and he's operating on another frequency. I hope one day to be at his level in terms of getting stuff done. But for the most part, it's very hard to implement a lot of things at once. So you have to start with one thing, one commitment, super easy. What's the one movement that you're going to do? Is it going to be cardio? Is it going to be weights? Is it going to be yoga? Is it going to be dance? Is it going to be walking, going up and down your stairs? Choose one thing. And another reason we want to choose one thing is that we have our identity. I call this the old self. It's our memory data bank and database of everything we've done in our habits. When we're trying to create a new self, and we're trying to embody doing fitness and movement, these are new belief systems that we're trying to cultivate and create. But because we're living in our old self, if we try and jump too quickly to a new self, it all collapses. The old self pulls the new self down and breaks it apart. So the way that you trick the old self is by doing one thing at a time. And to the untrained eye, it seems like you're doing nothing, but you're actually doing everything. It's all about those baby steps. So on the second point, it's about making it easy. Less is more. Breaking apart the old self one brick at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time. It's a process. And the secret is to lay that one brick or take that one step for the journey of 1,000,000 miles. So it's starting slow. It's being realistic. And anytime we're not realistic and we're trying to go fast, we're really emanating from ego. Speed has to do with ego. Why do you have to try and get somewhere so fast? It's your journey. Go at your own pace. Nobody's judging you. You might think that people are judging you, but that is your perception of reality. And I can tell you one thing, human beings have a part of us that's inherently self-centered. In other words, the world revolves around us. Now, some of us are more compassionate and empathetic than other people, but fundamentally, we are really in our own worlds taking care of ourselves. People don't care about what you're doing or not doing. It's all in your head. So go at your own pace, start slow and steady, and that's how you always win the race. And the magic is when you go slow and steady, what seems like the grass is growing is actually a phenomena called exponential growth that Einstein talked about. When you look at a compound interest graph, it looks like the grass is growing, and then boom, there's this exponential growth and expansion that takes place. If you can put your ducks in a row and master the fundamentals and be patient and not do anything for anybody else and take your time, you will create the environment that will be conducive to that hockey stick exponential growth of self, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. Because when you grow physically, you're going to grow mentally, you're going to grow emotionally, you're going to grow spiritually, energetically. It's all interconnected. And that momentum force is something that we forget about. We forget about momentum. And the last part I want to bring up on this slide, just before the last element I want to mention, support. You know, when you try and do things on your own, you can only go so far on a journey. If any of you have trained with a training partner or had a successful business with a business partner, you know that a symbiotic and compatible person can keep you aligned. You're going to have your off days, but when you have your off days, your community and support network is going to bring you up and raise you up. You're the average of the people you spend time with. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. If you want to change your habits, get around people who have those healthy habits, who are taking care of their body, who are working out and loving themselves. And through osmosis of being in the presence of other people, we too will evolve. We've all had moments where you've been with someone, it can be a good friend or an intimate partner, and there's a deep connection there, and you'll notice you pick up the words they use, the vocabulary they use, the mannerisms they have. We pick up so many things subconsciously. Well, you can pick up belief systems too. And that's why your network and support group is so important. And that's what gives you a sense of community, a sense of belonging, a deeper sense of love within a community, and a deeper sense of accountability. People holding you accountable to the standard you know is right for you, but that you have difficulty holding yourself to. So that's my little spiel on movement and showing it to you from another perspective. I wanted to tell all of you guys thank you for listening to the little mini presentation. And I also wanted to invite you guys. We're actually doing free online workouts. You can find the Miles Fit free online workout group on Facebook. It's totally free. There's no charge. We're helping people from 8 to 80 work out. And if you guys are interested in learning more about that, just look up Miles Fit. But it would be our pleasure to serve you. And I hope this presentation served you in your journey to embodiment.